In this video, we're going to talk about brushes and colors inside PIXLR. So we're gonna go through different types. So this set here of tools, which represent different types of brushes that you can use in order to paint out parts of your image, or also you can just go there and draw lines and shapes and so on. So this one here, it's an example. I'm gonna start all over with another image. So I'm gonna go to the home page and open the original image, which is this one here. And you can see how the colors are different from the previous one. So I'm just gonna start to paint out here. So let's get started with a simple pen. So if you click here, you can define the way you want to sketch out lines inside the image. So what we're doing here is basically changing the color of the pixels because we are working on the image. Now, another thing we can do is we can create a empty layer, and so we can draw on that, and we will not affect the underneath image, and we can then turn this on and off, and also use other different methods or blending modes. So if you right click on that layer, you can start to change the way this is gonna look and behave into the image. And you can do that with any layer actually. So we're gonna get back to this later on. So this is the simplest one. Now another tip is that you can hold the control key and then you can basically get any color of the scene. So for example, if I'm interested in this color here, I will click there and this will be placed in the foreground colors. This one here is foreground, this one is the background. You can also switch them or press X. So this is the new color that I'm gonna use to draw out or use any brushes. So I'm gonna click there. Just experiment with this. So it's pretty simple, you can do it yourself. Now another way we can manage the brushes here is to use the draw. So here you will have another set of brushes. You can set up the size, the softness, and the steps. And you have also these simple brushes here, but if you scroll down, you will have some extra that are gonna help you to create different shapes. And here you can play around with the steps, with the softness, and also you can scatter this thing around a little bit so that it's not too precise and not so uniform. Hard tip, you can also use the pen pressure if you're using the tablet and the pen. Now another useful tool is the eraser. Pretty self-explanatory. It works like a brush, so you can set it the same way. You can also like do some strange effect here using like the star, and you also have these kind of gizmo that will help you to change the shape in different ways. Okay, and then let's again go there. So you can see here I'm deleting but using that shape, and I'm creating this strange effect. Now you can also do this the standard way, so you just select a brush here and start to remove things that you have just drawn. Okay, I'm just gonna remove everything here so we can work with the image with other brushes. So all the other brushes, they work similarly, but they do other effects, just like the clone tool or the heal tool, that they use brushes as well, but they did another type of work, another type of function. So here we have a couple of interesting tools, which are dodge, burn, and then we have sponge color. Now let's start with this one here. So this one will help you to lighten and darken parts of the image. And also you can choose to lighten or darken shadows, midtones, or highlights. Now shadows are the darkest part of your scene, and you can make those darker. So if you increase here the strength, let's increase the size a little bit, you can see it's still a brush. So I can go there and be careful on the layer. You need to select the correct layer. You can see there that I am turning those into really dark areas. So maybe sometimes you don't need to exaggerate too much, otherwise it could be too visible. So you need to play around with the parameters and the strength. Now the same way I can lighten these shadows. There you go. Or I can make things even lighter. I can make highlights lighter. So I can click there. You can see I'm increasing the lights on those parts. Or I can simulate like lights that would be inside a particular part of that building, and so on. Now it's just a matter of playing around once you understand what these options are. Let's go to the sponge color. Now this is more interesting because I can, let's increase this first. I can work with increasing or decreasing vibrance, saturation, and temperature. Now let's begin with the vibrance. So if I click here, you can see that the colors start to appear more intense. So I can, well, make everything look more colorful than it was in the original picture. And it's really interesting. If you do decrease, you do the opposite. So you're gonna decrease that. You can see that it's becoming like more whitey. Let's go back. Okay, and then we have saturation. Let's increase it first. And you can see here again, it's about saturating the part of that image with that color. Now I'm saturating with this one here. So if I need to increase the, for example, saturation of the sky, I need to select another color there. Let's increase the strength as well. And you can see that I am increasing it. Or I can do the other way, decrease. So this is gonna turn everything black and white. And you can use this method like in other picture that you see online, or that like photographers use to manage the black and white and leave only one part colored. So this is an helpful tool that will help you do that. Now you can also increase the strength of the black and white effect. And you can only leave one color there, or one building, or one element to underline that part. There you go. So only this building here now is colored. And then we have temperature. And you don't need any color here. You just go there and decide if you want to increase it. So you want to make things like more yellowish or orangish, like they are in a really warm country, like you saw the original image, or you can decrease it so you can make this a little bit more colder and cold and bluish, with a bluish tint. Now let's move on. Let's see something, again, really interesting, which is the change or color replace. So you can do a color replacement with this. So we're not talking about changing slightly the color or turning that color more vivid or black and white. We are talking about actually substituting the color. So you can select here any color. You can use the RGB and hexadecimal if you want to use a precise color, or you can just also hold Control and select from this here. So if I click this, it's gonna apply it right there. And also if you hold Control, it's gonna tell you which color you are selecting, on which color you are operating. Now to use this, it's really simple. You have an auto mode, which is really handy and simple and fast. And again, we have a brush, we have size, we have step, and all those things that we already know. So I can select one of these. And now we have also the tolerance. Now we knew the tolerance from other tools that we used before. Now essentially when you increase the tolerance, you're gonna get a lot of different colors that will be around your brush. If you decrease it, it's gonna be only selecting the colors similar to the one that you are getting here. So let me make an example. So right now I'm in 36, and if I click there, it's gonna understand that you want to paint out the greens. So if you start to paint, you can paint pretty freely here. It won't go on the other colors like the whites or the blacks. It will only care about the greens. So you can, well, you can see there probably there were a little bit of green pixels. So you always need to be precise, but you can see how fast it is. Now you can also change the tolerance and make it even smaller. And also you can work with opacity again if you want to blend a little bit. Okay, now you can see there, it's not passing onto these other like different shades of green because I have decreased the tolerance. But if I increase the tolerance, that's gonna go over everything. This is how you can set up the tolerance. Then you have the hue mode. So it's just a different way, kind of using the blending modes that we saw before. And again, be careful about tolerance, otherwise it's gonna be a mess. I think that this tool here is pretty handy when you need to decide what color you want to use in your house, when you want to change the color of the walls. So you can use this with a picture that you've taken and say, okay, I like this color or not. So I think this is a pretty useful tool here. Now you can see it left out those greens, so I'm gonna just click there and pass onto those as well. And then we have other types. So saturation, we already know that. So if I click there, it's gonna saturate. So it's going to increase basically the color, and brightness is going to increase the brightness. So it's similar to the ones that we already seen from before. And then we have fill, which is basically the similar to the auto function right here. And let's see also the fill. So sometimes you can just click on one part of the image and it's gonna fill that part just one click. So it's similar to the one select. So it's kind of that you are selecting pixels and then you are filling them with a color. And you can see that it's really fast. So let's say that I want to change this sky into something like more bluish, I don't know, something like that. You can just go there and click and fill those spaces. Now, the more you click, the more it's going to fill it. And again, you have the opacity, which you should always consider because it's going to blend a little bit. So it's going to be more hidden effect. Now you can see now everything turns like a little bit cartoonish and altered. You can use this to manage the correction of the colors. So you can use this as a color correction tools or also as alteration tools that will help you to do some really creative images. Now you can also check contiguous on. So contiguous is only gonna select the contiguous pixels. So if it's not gonna be contiguous, it's gonna get more and more pixels. So if I click there, it's gonna get more pixels depending on the tolerance that I set. Again, it's about experimenting a little bit and see which parameter works better. Now in that case, I like it this way, so I'm gonna keep it this way. And finally, we have the gradient tool, which is not a uniform color, but it's gonna create, well, a gradient, which could be radial or linear. So I'm just gonna use it in another layer here. So I'm gonna click and drag with the left mouse and choose also the direction of this gradient. Okay, and you can see now it's totally opaque. So I'm gonna make this a little bit more transparent. So let me go back and make this a little bit transparent. There you go. So you're gonna have this effect here, or you can choose radial and have like the vignetting effect, depending on how much opacity you use and on the color that you will use. Now remember that this is on another layer, so you can always right click and change the blending mode and see what's gonna happen here by just experimenting here the various blending modes. Now you can see everything has a different result, so you can just play around and find the one that you like the most. Or you can also make it less opaque if you want to decrease the intensity of that. And that's it. So we explored and experimented with a bit of tools here, which all are about changing colors, managing drawings and colors, and again, try to improve your image or alterate your image. So this will be all for this lesson. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, you can subscribe to the channel to see other lessons and also stay updated with other courses. And also, please, if you want to give us a little support, you can subscribe to the channel, or actually join to the channel as a supporter. So you can help us to create more videos and video courses and video guides. By the way, you can check other courses and guides in the channel. You will find them in the homepage. So thanks for watching and see you in the next.